Good morning, everybody. The Illithid event has started. With the invasion going on, we have Illithid charging in, trying to take over all of Eberron. And as a result, we need your help to stop it, or really the entire player base. The basis behind the event is once we defeat enough Illithid invaders, we will then be able to unlock extreme challenge dungeons for the endgame. So, I want to clarify what the event is, what you can do about it, and what exactly we get for unlocking it. Now, I'm going to be reading a lot of stuff from the Illithid Invasion mega thread that you can find on the forums. There'll be a link in the description. If you just want to stop watching and go read the thread, you can. But I'm going to give you the basics of what is going on here. I helped contribute to a lot of this, and Arcaniverse gave me permission to just kind of go over this, so we're going to talk about this here soon. So, basically, what is the event? Essentially, if you're somebody who doesn't want to actually participate or do anything different, when you play the game and you find champions, the champions you will find will be called Psionic Thralls, and they have some different mechanics. And that's as much as you really need to know. Psionic Thrall champions exist, and that's pretty much it. Now, when enough Psionic Thrall champions are destroyed, so once we kill enough of them, an invader will spawn somewhere in the world. Now, the invader could be anywhere. It could be in any quest, at any place at any time. The only stipulations are that the quest is on Reaper mode. Now, some people have gotten confused about this with the invaders. It can be any quest. This is not an endgame only activity. The dungeons we unlock will be only available at the level cap, but the invaders can be found in any quest, and they're in specific locations. So, as an example, right here with Ruinous Schemes, which is one of the quests in Sharn, there's Invader at the Bugbear optional, where you have to fight I don't want the default browser, where you have to fight a Bugbear. When you turn off of the main path, all of a sudden, boom, and an Illithid Invader pops up there. It pops up for everyone that does that quest until enough of them have been defeated in that location, and then once they've all been defeated, they will be labeled as exhausted. And once all of the Mind Flayers have been exhausted, the dungeon will unlock. So yesterday, we spent the entire day running around through as many quests as we could. Now you'll notice a lot of these are endgame, like Ruinous Schemes is in Sharn. Part of the problem is in the Cerulean Hills. They have level 32 options. However, part of the problem also has a level 3 option. Dream Conspiracy is level 18 only. And because you have to do it on Reaper mode, it means there are level caps. So if you want to go out there and find Illithid invaders, we have to do it all over the game. This is not just an end game thing. A lot of people were confused about this and they didn't want to participate because they were like, oh, well, I don't do end game, so I'm never going to find anything. The Price of Freedom has a maximum level, I believe, of 27 on it on the Epic version. And the Heroic version is maximum level 10. So again, with this quest, you need to be lower level to be able to do. So everyone needs to check. So as far as we know right now, how this event works is once all of these quests were found, people were just scouring every quest. I spent an entire day yesterday doing every quest at the end game, trying to see if I could find anything there. I found nothing for me personally. All these were found by other people in the community. Once all 8 were found and exhausted, which meant people went back into the quest to continually fight the invader over and over. Once they all were exhausted, all 8 of these, then the first quest, Pilgrim's Peril, was unlocked. So you can now go play Pilgrim's Peril on your server if on your server people have destroyed all of the thralls here. We're now waiting for Phase 2. We don't know when Phase 2 is going to start, so we have no idea. Could be now, could be later, so we're still kind of just waiting on that one. So we don't know what quests we're going to have to do, but again, it's being tracked here, whether it's been exhausted and what the quests are on each individual server, so it's all being contained here. So let's check out, there it is, the completed Pilgrim's Peril. Every server has, in fact, unlocked it now. You can see here, this was all checked off yesterday as we were going on. So it's kind of like a live updating thing. So maybe if you get home from work and you're like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to miss the event, you might get home and see that only 4 quests have been found. At which point, time to get exploring. It's probably not going to be these ones, because these ones have already been done. So you're going to start looking for other individual quests and different things out there. So let's now talk about the thing that has had probably the most contention about this whole event, which are the champions. They're called Psionic Thralls, and they have a couple specific mechanics, which I'm going to show you here inside this adventure. Because I have one. Kant. This is a Psionic Thrall. Now, they have a couple different abilities on them. Oh, thanks for moving. They have Wild Magic Fortitude, Wild Magic Reflex, and Wild Magic Will. These creatures have really, really, really high saving throws. Why is this bouncing all over the place? I don't know. But they have really high saving throws, which are terrifying. So they're very, very hard to manage, and their saving throws get higher as they go along. Not only do they have high saves, they get this psionic pressure, which makes them deadlier and harder to kill. It makes it so they deal more damage, and they take less damage. Now, as a percentage, they take more magic damage than physical, so they definitely reduce the amount of physical damage they take by a huge amount. And this stacks up. So it starts at 0 stacks, and it goes up to 5 very, very quickly. You can see every 5 seconds it's gaining a new stack. If there's more than one Thrall, they apply this buff to themselves and everyone around them. So to deal with Psionic Thralls, you want to kill them as quickly as possible. However, one of the ways in which we generally deal with monsters in DDO is just by hitting them with Mass Hold. But you're going to notice that if I pop around the corner and try to cast it, you're going to see that little blue spark. That means he's immune, because they have Mind Block. So you can't hit them with pretty much any enchantments or any illusions. They're pretty much immune to all of those. Which is unfortunate, because it means the traditional form of crowd control, which is Mass Hold a thing, or enchant a thing, or use Color Spray, none of that actually works. So in this case, to deal with them, you have to use physical crowd control. I'm talking stuns. Just hit him with a Stunning Blow, a Dire Charge, a Trip. Any of those abilities are now way, way more valuable against these champions during this time. So if you're like playing a Barbarian and you have the ability Tantrum, and you're like, man, I never get to use Tantrum because all these casters are going in and they're just like locking everything down with Mass Hold. Well, now you can. Or if you happen to be a evocation user yourself, Burst of Glacial Wrath is also a fantastic option here, so definitely something to consider against these types of champions. So physical crowd control is kind of the way to go. Now, as I said, they have immense damage reduction. They deal an incredible amount of damage once they get stacked up, so I'll kind of give you an example here. As I walk up to this guy, you're going to notice that my first number is doing like 50 damage. That's like R10 level damage, and he's hitting me for about like, 200, which is a lot more than normal. So again, by comparison, now he's going to 0 damage. I'm barely hurting this guy, but then going to the person that's next to him, and all of a sudden I'm hitting for like 400. So the champion was reducing my damage to basically 0, and so physical damage is really bad. But as I said, other things pass through. Elemental damage is a great thing that passes through, so if you happen to have imbues on your build, imbues are much more powerful against these types of champions. And as I said, physical stuns, Dire Charge, improved Trip, the Whirlwind from Fury of the Wild, other stuff. They're great. In heroic leveling, they are much more challenging than your regular champion. Like way more challenging. They're basically one of the hardest champions we've ever gotten, because their mechanic is they just don't die and they kill you really fast. So how do you solve it? You just got to go for them first. You can't ignore the Psionic Thralls. You have to kill the Thralls first. So if you go into a room and you look around the corner and you see that, like, oh, look, there's if this one was a Thrall, you want to beeline to it, kill it, and get rid of it as soon as possible. Because if you don't, you're going to run into the Psionic Thralls, kind of tearing apart your whole team. You'll notice that these monsters don't really do anything to me. They can't chunk through my temporary hit points. But if there's a single Psionic Thrall, then all of a sudden I have to be extremely careful, or else I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Let me just get rid of these Rangers here so I can actually start talking. So that's pretty much all you need to know about the event. So long story short, we have different phases that are going to be happening. I don't know how the phase thing has been indicated. I think it was indicated by SSG. But yeah, so the event will last until we have all 4 dungeons unlocked and the developers turn it off. Some people are upset that they weren't able to fight any of the Illithid invaders. That was a sentiment yesterday that some people were voicing while I was streaming, that they never got to actually fight any of the Illithid invaders because they just got to fight the Psionic Thralls, which again, I do understand. The Illithid invaders will be featured in all of the extreme challenge dungeons that are at the endgame. And once we get access to all of them, I'll be making a video guide on how to complete each individual dungeon. I did all of them on the previews, and they were quite challenging. They have some interesting mechanics, and a lot of things you kind of have to think about, so it can be a little bit more complicated. It is not something you're just going to walk in and smash, and if you lose to the extreme challenge dungeons, don't be surprised. The monsters have like double the health, double the damage, and then they all have special mechanics and different ways you have to deal with them and manage, so it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, that is the Illithid event. One of the more exciting parts, I will say this, is that if you do decide to go out into the regular town, any area that has an Illithid influence, you can tell by looking into the sky, as the sky will be turning red. So it'll be this dark red color, as you can see up here with this purple. And if you look out to the west, you can see it, the Nautiloid ships, as the Illithid are in fact invading all of these different places. Now, so far, all of the quests that have been found first on here are in Eberron. All of these quests are in Eberron, so it's possible the next phase is going to be taking place entirely in Evening Star, because Evening Star also has the skybox, but we also don't know. So this is going to be a bit of a wait and see. We're going to find out exactly what is happening and when it's happening, and I'll do my best to keep people updated. But as I said, if you want to know what the most up-to-date piece of information is, check out this thread, the mega thread here. It's in the description. Kept up to date by Arcaniverse, who's doing a fantastic job. And yeah, that's all I have. So thank you for watching. Good luck, and stop those invaders.